Okay, so the past few days, we have finished covering the mundane right view. So we start off with defining what mundane right view is. It involves a correct grasp of the law of karma. And then we examine what is karma. Karma here means action. Next, we start to dive deeper into karma. We divide into three. First, the ethical distinction into unwholesome and the wholesome. Second, the principal cases of each type, which are the 10 instances, which are these 10: destroying life, taking what is not given, wrong conduct in regards to sense pleasures, verbal action, false speech, slanderous, harsh speech, idle chatter, covetousness, ill will, wrong view. The next category we divide this into the basis of the actions, which are called the roots here, mula. So the roots can be divided into threefold: greed, aversion, and delusion for the unwholesome. The opposite applies: non-greed, non-aversion, and non-delusion for the wholesome actions. And then it explores that the important feature of karma is its capacity to produce results corresponding to the ethical quality of the action. Here, this one is summarized perfectly in this last sentence. Wholesome actions yield favorable results. Unwholesome actions yield unfavorable results. And the rest is the summary. To recognize this principle is to hold right view of the mundane kind. So that is a quick summary of mundane right view. Today, we are going to jump into the superior right view. It sounds very exciting, superior. Okay, so I will begin to read the first paragraph. The right view of karma and its fruits provides a rationale for engaging in wholesome actions and attaining high status within the round of rebirth. But by itself, it does not lead to liberation. It is possible for someone to accept the law of karma, yet still limit his aims to mundane achievements. One's motive for performing noble deeds might be the accumulation of meritorious karma leading to prosperity and success here and now, a fortunate rebirth as a human being, or the enjoyment of celestial bliss in the heavenly world. There is nothing within the logic of karmic causality to impel the urge to transcend the cycle of karma and its fruit. The impulse to deliverance from the entire round of becoming depends upon the acquisition of a different and deeper perspective, one which yields insight into the inherent defectiveness of all forms of samsaric existence, even the most exalted. Okay, for the next paragraph, how about Shomei? Would you like to read?
This superior right view leading to liberation is the understanding of the Four Noble Truths. It is this right view that figures as the first factor of the Noble Eightfold Path in the proper sense, as the Noble Right View. Thus, the Buddha defines the path factor of right view expressly in terms of the Four Truths. What now is the right view? It is understanding of suffering, dukkha, understanding of the origin of suffering, understanding of the cessation of suffering, understanding of the way leading to the cessation to suffering. The Eightfold Path starts with a conceptual understanding of the Four Noble Truths, apprehended only obscurely through the media of thought and reflection. It reaches its climax in a direct intuition of those same truths, penetrated with a clarity tantamount to enlightenment. Thus, it can be said that the right view of the Four Noble Truths forms both the beginning and the culmination of the way to the end of suffering.
Thank you, Shomi. Okay, so the first paragraph explains that the mundane right view, the one that we have covered, it has its limits to just mundane achievements. So firstly, it explore the drawbacks of mundane right view. And then in the second paragraph, then what is superior right view? What is better than mundane right view? And it is just the understanding of the Four Noble Truths. So firstly, before I continue, any question, any comments, maybe any difficult words? Tantamount, maybe? Tantamount means equivalent in seriousness to, virtually the same as. So, okay, if no further comments, then we can continue reading for the next two paragraphs. Shomi, would you like to nominate someone to read?
Sister Lin Choi.
Okay.
Okay. The first noble truth is a truth of suffering, dukkha, the inherent unsatisfactoriness of existence, revealed in the impermanence, pain, and perpetual incompleteness intrinsic to all forms of life. This is a noble truth of suffering. Birth is suffering, aging is suffering, sickness is suffering, death is suffering. Sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair are suffering. Association with the unpleasant is suffering. Separation from the pleasant is suffering. Not to get what one wants is suffering. In brief, the five aggregates of clinging are suffering.
Thank you, Sister Lin Choi. So these two paragraphs basically is the first noble truth of suffering. And below it will explain further why this is, why all these lists are suffering. So, Sister Lin Choi, would you like to nominate the next person to read?
Sister Billy, please.
The last statement makes a comprehensive claim that calls for some attention. The five aggregates of clinging, Panchupadam Nakanda, are a classificatory scheme for understanding the nature of our being. What we are, the Buddha teaches, is a set of five aggregates: material form, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness, all connected with clinging. We are the five, and the five are us. Whatever we identify with, whatever we hold to as ourself, falls within the set of five aggregates. Together, these five aggregates generate the whole array of thoughts, emotions, ideas, and dispositions in which we dwell, our world. Thus, the Buddha's declaration that the five aggregates are dukkha, in effect, brings all experience, our entire existence, into the range of dukkha.
Thank you, Sister Billy. Okay, I will continue the next paragraph. But here the question arises. Why should the Buddha say that the five aggregates are dukkha? The reason, he says, that the five aggregates are dukkha is that they are impermanent, they change from moment to moment, arise and fall away without anything substantial behind them, persisting through the change. Since the constituent factors of our being are always changing, utterly devoid of a permanent core, there's nothing we can cling to in them as a basis for security. There is only a constantly disintegrating flux, which, when clung to in the desire for permanence, brings a plunge into suffering. Okay, I think this is a good time to step back for a while and then just recap what we have read. So, firstly, the first two paragraphs that Lin Huai reads define the first noble truth, these two. And this is actually an exact quote from the sutta itself, or a translated quote. And then the next two paragraphs, it starts to explain why this is the first noble truth. Firstly, it defines the five aggregates, which are this: form, feelings, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. Basically define who we are. We are the five, and the five are us. And then it explores why does the Buddha say these five, the five aggregates, is suffering, is dukkha. And then the logic flows that all these five aggregates are impermanent. If we cling on to what is impermanent, when that thing that we think is permanent becomes impermanent, when it changes day to day, every day, and then when it finally broke, the thing that we hold on as the basis for the security just broke, and that is where the suffering comes from. Yeah, so that is how I understand these few paragraphs. So any comment from any of you? Any thoughts, any question? Okay, maybe I can arrow someone to comment. How about Shomei? Any comments? What do you think so far?
Not at this juncture myself.
Okay. How about Litai?
Yeah, I think for me now it is kind of okay. But when I first started reading the Four Noble Truths, I had some problem understanding. First of all, okay, so I agreed. So when reading all of the different kinds of suffering, I was saying to myself, oh, okay, all right, it's okay. But then when I started reading about the aggregates, and so at first I was thinking, why is it all the five aggregates are dukkha? The five aggregates are the five aggregates, right? That is what we are formed. But when we start thinking that, it is actually it is a clinging to the five aggregates that make us suffer. That is, I think that is more, it makes more sense to me. But at first, when I just think about the five aggregates, I just didn't understand why the five aggregates are the source of suffering.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yes, that's true. So the important part here, Lin Toy mentioned, is this keyword of clinging. Yeah, because if we don't cling on to the five aggregates, then
it's okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Actually, just now I've forgotten. I think Sister Aikim hasn't read it, right? Yeah, I skipped you, so sorry. Okay, I think Sister Aikim can read the next one.
Starting from second noble truth.
Okay, you can read these two paragraphs.
Okay. The second noble truth points out the cause of dukkha from the set of defilements which eventuate in suffering. The Buddha singles out craving tanha as the dominant and most pervasive cause, the origin of suffering. This is the noble truth of origin of suffering. It is this craving which produces repeated existence, is bound up with delight and lust, and seeks pleasures here and there, namely craving for sense pleasure, craving for existence, and craving for non-existence. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Sister Aikim. Okay. So that is the second noble truth, which is the origin of suffering, the cause of suffering, which is just craving. Actually, I think it was pretty short. Maybe Sister Akim can continue reading the next three.
The third noble truth simply reverses this relationship of origination. If craving is a cause of dukkha, then to be free from dukkha, we have to eliminate craving. Thus the Buddha says, this is the noble truth of cessation of suffering. It is the complete fading away and cessation of this craving, its forsaking and abandonment, liberation and detachment from it. The state of perfect peace that comes when craving is eliminated is nibbana or nirvana, the unconditioned state experienced while alive with the extinguishing of the flames of greed, aversion, and delusion. The fourth noble truth shows the way to reach the end of dukkha, the way to the realization of nibbana. That way is a noble eightfold path itself. The right, last one.
I think we can stop here.
Okay.
Thanks, Sister Akim. Okay, so we also explored the second noble truth, which is the cause, and then the third noble truth, which is simply reverses this relationship. If craving is the cause of dukkha, then to be free from dukkha, we have to eliminate craving. And then the Buddha says, this is the noble truth of the cessation of suffering. It is a complete fading away and cessation of this craving, forsaking and abandonment, liberation and detachment from craving. So this state is what we call nibbana. Okay.
I find the word simply reversing simply reverses a bit of an irony, because that's where the most difficult part is.
Yes. I think the sentence means that it is quite simple to know, but I think what Shomi means is that it is so difficult to realize, to practice and realize it for ourselves, which is, I think, what makes Buddhism so interesting. I think most people can accept actually Buddhism intellectually, but to arrive at the truth is another thing altogether.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. Yes, and the last noble truth, of course, is the one that we are currently reading, the Noble Eightfold Path itself.
Mm.
So I think this is a good point to end the reading today. So
Can I share something?
yes, Sister Linda.
Yes. So, no, first of all, regarding to this reading, I like this phrase in the second paragraph, the last line, craving for existence. So again, at first, when I first read the Four Noble Truths, I didn't really quite understand. But when I try to understand why we are, here and here, reborn and reborn again in this samsara, and then at last I found this phrase, craving for existence. And to me, it explains everything, To me, it's like I had this kind of aha moment when I realized that, okay, this is all that, why we are here over and over again, one life after another, if we do not crave for existence. So,
I remember
Yeah.
Sister Lentoy, long time ago, I listened to a Mahani's Dharma talk,
Yes.
and the Shifu said, imagine
Mm.
Amitabha Buddha is standing in front of you and said, look, girl, I'm going to bring you now. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You say, oh no, give me 3 more days.
Yeah, I still have to see this
Ask for more
person, that
another
person,
3
right?
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So initially, Lin Toy was wondering, why can't we keep coming? How come we keep coming back to samsara?
Yes.
Actually, it's actually because we want to keep coming back.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, even if we don't admit it internally, I mean, deep inside, you say, okay, what? Let me come back. Don't make me suffer too much. I continue to do good lah.
Yeah, still have joy here and there. Yeah.
Maybe we kind of justified, samsara is not so bad. I get to eat good food. Yeah.
Yeah, for you it's a latte, right? The what is it?
Matcha latte. Yeah.
Matcha latte.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's another thing that I would like to share. So yesterday I attended another retreat with Plum Village. And in the Dharma talk, sister told us a story of the Eskimo people. Have you ever heard of that story?
No.
The Eskimo people, they hunted, of course, for food, right? So they hunted animals. So it's very interesting, listening to the story. At first, I felt so painful, So the story is they use a very sharp knife, okay? And you know that in that Eskimo region, of course, it's snow all over the place, right? So they prepared a very sharp knife, and they cover the knife with animal blood. And then after that, they put a lot of ice around and waited for it to get frozen. And then another layer of blood, and then another layer of ice, another layer of blood and ice. Just wait until you cannot see the knife anywhere at all. So at night, they just put that knife deep inside the snow, the ice. Of course, with the pointed up, right? So, and they keep it overnight like that. And of course, they know that overnight the fox, the wolf, when they get hungry, they would go and find food. And when they walk past, of course, they would smell the smell of blood, the smell of the blood animal. And then they thought, okay, so very good food here, somewhere around this place. So of course they keep, and then finally they spotted where the blood smell is from. So they started to leak down the ice, and they they try licking, and of course the more they lick, the more they lick into the knife, right? And but then when they get to the knife itself, they cannot realize it because the tongue gets numb already. The tongue already gets numb, but the nose, they can still smell the smell of blood. And they still think, it's the consciousness. They still think that, okay, the food is there, the blood is there, the animal is there. So that again, they try licking until, the tongue already broken. And then they feel very thirsty because they started to bleed, right? So they feel very thirsty and they keep licking until they die. And then the people, they just go there and they pick the animal, and that is how they hunt it. So for me, so it is a lesson, right? I think our craving is exactly like that. When we crave and we are so greedy, we just don't see the consequences. We just don't see where we are heading to. So even we are greedy for what? For fame, for reputation, for sensual pleasure. We just don't realize where we are heading to. So for me, this is a very, very good story. So I just would like to share.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think your story is a very nice way of illustrating why the Buddha chose to pack the Four Noble Truths in that order. Otherwise we just enjoy it, fun is fun, right? But
Yes.
we don't know what causes to want to have that fun, and then what it will lead to when we don't have the fun anymore.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing.
Okay, so thanks everyone for sharing and participating in the discussion and for reading together. So let's do a dedication. Dedication of marriage, please recite together with me. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，不愿举章嬉笑处，十色常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛。So thank you everyone for joining today. Hope to see you again tomorrow. Have a non-craving day ahead.
No matcha tea today, okay. Okay, thank you, Marcel.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, Marcel. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Have a good day, everyone.